All right. So I hit the go live button, and here we are live uh, on our part of the Becoming the Universe series. And this one is called, what is this one called? Fireside Chats. And
Yeah.
so we are on episode number 2. I am Dr. B. I'm your host. I am sorry. I'm just kind of discombobulated just a little bit because I had it all set earlier today. And I wasn't sure Tommy would be able to hear and Gino would be able to hear. So I'm glad you guys can, and I'll bring you guys up here pretty quick. But I was just doing a podcast across town, about a 40-minute drive away, that went over. So I was talking to a man named Brad about financial matters. And so we're going to have him come on here. And he was asking me a whole bunch of questions that I was like, oh, I don't know if you should be asking me. But it was a fun podcast. And then as I was coming back, I was listening to Yusef, Mr. U, in the car of our podcast that we did together a couple months ago. And so I was just this conversation today, and I am excited to have it. I'm excited to find out where he's at and some of the things. Because if you guys go back to the podcast that I had done, and he was part of my Journey to Freedom series, and this is Fireside. That's why I got the background now of the mountains. And I tried it outside last week, and I got cold, and the bugs started eating me. And so I said, okay, let me bring it inside for a minute. It's still light outside here in Colorado. I know in Florida, where you're at, it's nice and dark. But as I was thinking about, you know, our conversation that we had last time and the things that you were able to embark upon us and talk to us about. And it was mostly about you and your life because I asked those questions. I was like, hey, where did you grow up? How did you grow up? What are the things you did? So I'm encouraging you, if you guys haven't heard that one, to go back and listen to it because today is kind of a different format. Today, as I go through these firesides every single week, I started the universe. It's called Becoming the Person Universe. It's becomingtheperson.com if you want to be a part of it. And it's all about relationship. It's all about how do we help people that are, whether they're stuck or they're not stuck or they're just trying to figure out this thing called life and trying to figure out in a way that makes sense that they have people that they connect with, because relationships and networking to me are everything. Everything that I do that I'm good at is because somebody else helped me be good at it. Whether it was, God, thank you for putting these people in my life because without you, it didn't happen, to, oh, you're in my life now. So please, I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to be around you because you are in a different place that I'm at. And I sometimes I want to get to the place where you're at, whether it's I'm a kid and I'm watching a professional football player and going, hey, I want to be at that level. Or I'm an adult and like tonight, right? I was talking to a guy about finances. I'm 60 years old and I'm still trying to learn about money and how
You
it
look
works.
good.
Thank you.
You
Thank
look
you for letting me know that. Yeah. So, as I think, and so when I was thinking about our conversation with Mr. U, I was thinking about the wonderful things that he said he's able to do with a coach. And maybe we can just kind of start there as why coaching became such a thing that you were able to do. Because to me, they say, I don't know how true it is that you have had to do the thing in order to coach somebody in it. Because then I see somebody like Bill Belichick, right, who's never played professional football, but he's one of the
Uh-oh.
greatest coaches that's ever been there, right? So he didn't do the thing, but he learned from people who did the thing, I guess. And so maybe because you're a really good coach, you understand coaching, and there's people that are going to watch this today that are looking for either that mentor or that friend or that coach that can help them get to that next level. And for me, I needed different coaches in different areas. Like my pastor was the coach that I needed spiritually. And I've had several pastors that I've had throughout my life. And sometimes it wasn't the one that was behind the pulpit, right? It was the guy who was the pastor in charge of outreach that was willing to outreach to me and come over to my house and have some dinner with me so I could talk to him, right?
Yeah,
Or
that's very
let's say in business, it was the coach that that was making the money, and I wasn't making the money and needed that help. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit, and then I'm going to jump in. And there's no, um, structure here where like I have a set of questions where I gave it to him. This is all unleashed. This is all, hey, why are you so
That's the best
good
stuff.
at what you do? Yeah. So
That's the
let
best
me
stuff
go
right
ahead.
there.
You tell a little bit of people where you live, that kind of stuff, but then just jump into why coaching.
No doubt. Well, I'm from New York City originally. If I talk for 5 minutes, you're going to hear it. I moved to Columbia, South Carolina, Tampa, Florida. We're in the Charleston, South Carolina area now, so I've been a little bit all over the place. But first off, thanks for having me on, Dr. B. I appreciate the time and being part of this fireside chat. It's already awesome already. Thank you for opening that door for me. I love what Psalms 133:1 says, how good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. If you want to know how to please God, live together in unity. And that's what you're doing here with this podcast, man. I'm very appreciative of being a part of it. In regards to the coaching part, honestly, the Bill Belichick example was a really, really good one. And there's many more like it. I honestly, I did have certifications in coaching, and I have lived not far behind you in living. My birthday's on Saturday. I'm
All
not
right.
far. I'm about 5 years off of you, but
Okay.
I've lived a lot of life, a lot of cautionary tales, a lot of life journeying. So, I mean, having a wealth of experience, it really helps in the coaching front because there's only so much theoretical things you can talk about. Life experiences is what moves people to stories, even with podcasting. Stories is what moves people. It's what kind of changes the game for the listener or the viewer. So for me, I really lean a lot on the experiences and the clicks that I made, as well as the way that I pivoted and what I've done that has been a success because of the changes that I made. We can have formats and roadmaps, and those things are needed in coaching. At the end of the day, though, I lean on that experience. Like, this is what happened. Don't do what I'm doing. Anybody's the client for me, I really want them to not do what I did. I really want them to not make the mistakes that I made. So I don't harp on it, but I'm definitely emphasizing it a lot. I'm strongly recommending learn from my experience. Take a different path because, I mean, we can go back 5, 10, 20, 25, 30 years. And it's like, do you want to do all that I did to get to where I am? Or do you want to use what I've learned to get to your destination faster? It's really up to you. I mean, life is all about transition, man. Transition is the middle ground between the past where you were and the future where you want to be. You can stay there as long as you want. The truth is, Israel had an 11-day journey. Look how long it took. 40 years. So if you want to stay that long in transition, that's up to you, but you don't have to. That's where a really good coach will come in, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. And so when you think about like what it takes to like, I guess when I think of good coaches, I've been coaching track for, I don't know, 38 years, and I've been able to coach some Olympians and coach some state champions. But what it really came down to was that not only my ability to find out what was wrong and be able to fix the problem, because that's why you usually have a coach, but more so in the attitude of the person that I'm coaching and whether it's a fit with our personality and stuff. What do you think, like if you're looking for somebody that is hungry to learn what you're teaching them, what are some of the characteristics or aspects that you look for in somebody that is wanting to be coached?
Hunger is good. I mean, but hunger can be satisfied. So after you're not hungry anymore, what changes? So the process for me, it starts off with a very, I won't say very long, but it's a very lengthy evaluation process.
Okay.
It asks a lot of questions. I grew up watching detective shows from Law and Order, all that. So I grew up in, like you name it, I grew up and I'm just loving the crime dramas. But what it caused me to do is ask a lot of questions, to dig a little bit, to analyze and not just take things at face value. And even though somebody's hungry and wants to be a client, I had people who hired me as a client, I mean, as a coach, and wanted to be a client, but I still did the same thing I would do to anybody else. I'm asking a lot of questions because I want to know what the end game is. I want to start with the end in mind. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you going to do when you run into a wall? What did you do in the past when you ran into a wall? Did you quit? Did you give up? I want to know so I know what to expect. Because if you did it before, you might do it again. So I want to just know. So hunger is great. I love examples of commitment. It said, you know what? When I started something, I didn't quit just because, you know, it was rainy that day. I still hit the pavement and took care of business. So ask a question about character because I really want to kind of understand it. I know when they hear the question, they don't know I'm analyzing character when I ask the questions, but that's what I'm doing. I really want to know where you are, who you are as a person. I want to get that rounded up because there's no way I can really help you as a coach, and you can be the kind of client that can see success if I don't know and you don't know the kind of person you actually are. We got to deal with that so we know, can we get to the finish line together, or is this going to be a short-term fix and later on you come back for more help again? So ask a lot of questions. I make sure we have shared values. I'm definitely looking at character, man. That's a big thing. Right here, the stories. Character, you can't hide character in the story. You can try, but it always comes out. So I'm definitely deep diving for character, integrity, longevity, how you handle adversity, things like that. So hunger's great, but those other things really matter to me too.
Yeah, so I think about that because we're born with open slates. We're born not knowing anything. And so say somebody comes to you and they're a little bit sketchy on the character. They're a little bit sketchy on the integrity because, and you can tell. So let's say it's a young man or young woman that is, you could tell that their upbringing didn't provide for them the upbringing that was probably necessary. Are you willing to take that kind of project on? And if they're willing to learn, or do you just go, because there's so many of these like athletes that I can remember, or just even in business, of people that you just go, I don't know who your mama was, I don't know who your daddy was, but they weren't with you. So how do you approach some of those folks, or do you?
That's the easy answer for me. I'm going to still do my process. I know it's not a cookie cutter process. It's different for every person because obviously every person is different. We're complex beings all by ourselves. So each person has different life history and that kind of stuff. If they're willing, even if they got sketchy situations and they haven't had many opportunities to kind of turn things around and make some better decisions, but they want to embrace trying to do that right now and they're really genuine about it, I got no problem with it. If I can snip that from the outset, I'm definitely going to try to help them. But we're going to walk through a process because we got to break down a lot of that stuff before we can try to not only remake them in the way like Frankenstein, but we got to break some stuff down so we can get to the place where we can kind of build up the kind of person that they want to be. How do you even see yourself? We're going to get into all that kind of stuff because you see yourself as a sketchy, shady person because that's all you know and that's as far as your mind can go. I don't know how far we're going to get. But if you can see a better person, so to speak, a more productive, disciplined person with better habits. If you can envision that, man, we can do anything. If you can see that, we can do anything. There's nothing we can't accomplish.
You brought up the word habits, which I think is huge because we all have habits, whether we consider them to be good habits, whether we consider them to be bad habits. They are things that we live with. So you get up in the morning. What are some of the habits, and this is like a two-part question, that serve you to be a better person? And then are there habits that didn't serve you in the past that you had to let go of in order to become that person you are? Because it's so easy to talk about, I'm doing all this really cool stuff. I'm getting up every morning and I'm doing a meditation and a devotional and I'm running 17 miles. But you didn't start out doing that. That wasn't who you were. So they kind of walk through us, and I got some other people, Tommy and Gene. If you guys have questions, just raise your hands and I'll bring you up. But talk to me a little bit about those habits.
As far as I do the latter first, as far as the bad habits, I think the thing that was coming to my eye and ear gate, it could be television, particular television shows. It could be specific lyrics in music. It could be one of the most popular ones now, social media. Some folks, after they hit the alarm clock and they hit snooze or whatever, they got their phone in their hand, scrolling on Instagram. And I was one of those folks that was doing that a little bit. I can't lie about it. So I had to break all of those habits off because I knew they weren't going to be productive for me. That's how I start my day. I couldn't be that. So my day starts with prayer and meditation. My day starts with reading my Bible. And then after that, I start reading the other books that kind of support the Bible and support me where I am ministerially. And then if I'm listening to the podcast, they're going to be podcasts that's going to feed what I'm trying to accomplish in that short term or long term goals. It's going to be something going to be feed. It's going to be good seed you're putting into this ground. So for me, I think it's been a difference maker. I really can't point to many things. You know what? This is community. I can point to community, but honestly, those disciplines and doing them on a regular basis, I miss a day here and then. Sometimes I'm just tired. Some days I might be under the weather, and I learned to not beat myself up. You missed it today. You're not 100%. Get back on the horse. Get that job done. I'm just trying to be an exclusive mover in my own life. So I kick myself in the pants more than anybody can ever kick me in the pants. So I'm like, those are my disciplines. That's how I choose to live my life. I believe it served me well. I'm clearer on who I am as a person. I'm clearer on my goals. When I'm talking to somebody as a coach or a mentor, just as a brother, I'm clearer about what I'm saying, what I want to say. I understand the situation. I'm not just spitballing. I fancy myself a deep thinker, and those disciplines really speak to that. So it helps me to kind of just be present and grow, because if you're not growing, you must be dying. So, that's how we just do that, man. That makes sense to you.
No, it is. And thank you for bringing up television and news in that box. That, I grew up, my parents watched the news when I was growing up. And I think the news was a little bit different then than it is now, because it's not all the algorithms that make you watch exactly what you're going to do. But it was still like the habit that every day at 5:00 at night, the news was on and we were watching it. And as I got older and started realizing, what is it that's in the news that I have to know? Like, my parents today will call me and tell me what the weather is. And I'm like, thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Well, it's going to rain today. Yeah, okay. So, either way, whether it's going to rain or not, I'm going to be okay. I live in Colorado. The weather's the same every year. It might be getting a little bit warmer, but I don't need a newscaster to be able to walk me through what the news is. And then now, like, there's all these things that are not just locally, like the local news is global. And there's things that I can't control all across the world in my little world that I'm in. And do I need to know about all of those every single day, of all the things that make me feel better about my life? And so maybe you can kind of even talk a little bit about some of those shows and things that you watch. And I'm going to bring the other guys up so that they can ask some questions as well. But maybe, just kind of talk about some of those shows that you realized, or social media, if you got stuck into the, what do they call it, like just the clickbait, or just this endless scrolling, or the, things are there, or music. I love music. I was watching the Earth, Wind, and Fire Grammy thing, and like, oh man, this was such good music back then. And then I'm like, and my son today is a rapper, and I have no idea what he's saying. Sometimes I'm like watching him and I'm listening to him, and he's telling about his life. And sometimes I'm like, that happened to you? I don't remember that happened to you. So maybe kind of talk about those, a little bit of those, some of those habits that are there, as I bring some other folks up.
I'm a big music lover too. That's what I did back in New York before I came down to the South. Mm-hmm. I was a recording artist, singer, songwriter, had a independent record label, and the whole 9 yards and everything. As far as TV goes, it was really simple. It was just sitcoms. I would watch those just to laugh and just to veg out. It didn't matter whether they were even good or not. I think they were more like an escape for me. And, sometimes, and this is something I believe, when I say this to people in our circles, I know it doesn't land well, but it's something I believe. Everything that's good isn't necessarily God. So the sitcoms I was watching, they weren't bad. They didn't have, like, sitcoms now are a little bit different. They got messages and subliminal things and things that's not good for me as a spiritual person, striving to be that anyways. But in regards to the sitcoms back then, they weren't bad. I mean, they had nice, wholesome family values, but they were just like a time suck for me. I spent hours and hours in that, and I kind of lost sight of what was most important. So I had to scrap that. With the music, I was deep into the R&B hip hop genre. I was was the background of my life for my entire life. I was really into. I mean, I'm a big smooth jazz fan now since the '80s, so that's not really that hasn't went anywhere. But R&B and hip hop kind of ruled, and listen to some of the lyrics, you're like, oh my goodness, what was I singing and pop locking to? This is not this is not good. What am I paying attention to out here? So it was just by evaluating those things that are not only time sucks, but things that are perhaps dropping negative seeds in your garden that don't need to be there. So it was just a matter of just being bold enough to scrap those things and say, you know what, this is not where I need to be. Yeah, they may be good in some respect, but they're not good for me. So they have to go. And I would try to just be bold and courageous and take care of that business and prioritize my mental health and my spiritual health and such. If that makes sense.
I love it. And I start thinking, as you're going there, some of the lyrics and some of the songs, like were folks that are, having affairs and all that kind of stuff, and you're just singing along.
I didn't even realize. I didn't catch that. Oh, those beats, man! Those beats hide so much. You didn't even realize. Wait a minute. What did he say? Oh wow.
So they say there's habits that are good, like brushing your teeth every day or flossing or exercising, those things that we do. But there are also stuff that feeds your mind. You talked about the Bible earlier and that being the first thing that you do every day. What are some of the habits that you have that or that you've developed over time? Because some of them that serve you in a way that develops who you are as a person. So, and for me, just knowing you, that you would be able to serve others in whatever way that is.
One example, just for the sake of time, because I know a lot of people who read. I know people who will brag, and they've even come on our show and said, "I've read 100 books a year," and I'm like, wow, "That's incredible." And to a degree, I was in that space where I was reading a lot of books a year. Just not to say I read a lot of books, but one thing I'm developing now that I think I'm doing quite well is I'm reading until I learn something.
Okay.
If I learn something, then I'll put a pin in it and I'll come back to that page. But if I'm not getting anything that I feel like is a practical insight that I can use, or something that's like, wait a minute, I need to take time to think about this and ponder this one and work through it, study this some more. And until I get there, I'm gonna keep reading. So if I go through a whole book, that's more about what the book's about than anything. But I'm going through the book. When I get to that place, that's when I stop. So it could be 4, 5, it could be 10 chapters, whatever it is. And I'm starving for knowledge, man. At the end of the day, I want to grow or to learn. I realized that I'm not the smartest person in the room. Anytime that I was, I had to get out of that room. So I'm trying to learn and grow. And that's just one specific way that, and practical, anybody can do this. A practical way that I'm just trying to just grow and develop myself. Because at the end of the day, if I don't do that, what am I putting out? What am I giving out to people? Who am I coaching and mentoring and leading and mentoring to if I'm not taking care of growing myself personally? So that's one way that I do that.
That's cool. Tommy, do you have any questions around personal development? I know you're a person who learns as well and wants to grow, and maybe you can kind of talk a little, maybe if you want to, you can talk a little bit about some of the things you do. But did you have any questions for Mista that would be intriguing or something that we'd want to learn about?
Oh, I have been typing up things in the notes on your show notes here in the chat. So we talk about relationships, just right back to that. And I looked up the definition of relationship, and it is to bear, B-E-A-R, and that means what I've come up with is it's a relationship is having the patience with people who annoy you. So,
wow,
okay.
Wow, patience with people annoying you. Wow.
Right.
Why don't you take that? Does that ever happen? Has anybody ever annoyed you in any way?
I don't know how they couldn't. I mean, just think about it. Relationships is something. I feel like it's something that we got to recognize that there's a load of trust has to be involved with it. That means I can walk into a room with you as my friend, as my brother, and there's a sharp object in the room. I'm turning my back on you. I'm trusting you to not stab me in the back. That's relationship. Yeah. We're so close that we know things about each other that maybe we don't like or things that we do like, and we still learn how to not just coexist for the sake of like a roommate, but actually live together in that relationship space and still respect, what we love about each other and not make it the other stuff, the minor stuff, make it major, make the major stuff minor. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Well,
when you said the word trust, the first thing, I have no sign language, and so the word trust is this or that, and you're going, what is that? Think of a rope. Okay, if you're holding onto a rope, that's trust. First of all, if you're holding the rope and a guy or a gal is on the other side of it, they have to trust you're going to hold on to it, right? But you have to trust them not to pull you over. So it works both ways. So trust is that rope in the hand. So I use a lot of sign language to help me reinforce what I'm talking about. So that's the thing about trust. Put your hands out both ways. You got to trust them, they have to trust you.
Wow. I just learned some sign language today. That's cool because I'll remember the rope.
I know a little bit of sign, but I didn't know that one. Okay, that's good.
Oh man, that is really cool. And as I think about that and being able to trust, I can remember a time when I was in college, and I had a couple of roommates, and one of the roommates was just egging on and just I don't know what he was doing, but he was making the other roommate mad. And all of a sudden, the roommate that was the bigger roommate picked up the little dude and put him into the wall and said, that is enough. That is enough. He ended up going playing NFL and being a running back and that kind of stuff. And at the same time, it's like, oh, that's how you know you hit a limit. That's how you know that, so how do we, and either one of you can answer this, but how do we make sure we're not that annoying person? When we walk into a relationship and, whatever it is, whether it's a business relationship, a family relationship, a friendship relationship, or just a stranger relationship, what are some things that we can do, or maybe some things that you guys consciously do that would stop you or to help you create a better relationship? Or is it then, because we have so many people in our life that just take over the conversation all the time. And then I don't want to be that annoying person. I don't want to be that guy that takes over the conversation, unless it's my show, of course. But, takes over that conversation and then people walk away from me. And then I wonder for the rest of it, why don't I have any friends?
The whole introvert extrovert thing, I think, is getting ready to happen right now. My anti-annoying agent is really baked in because I know I got 4 podcasts. I understand the hypocrisy of what I'm getting ready to say. But I don't really talk that much. If I'm in a setting where I'm with somebody and we're just vibing like that, whether it's a session or just 2 friends getting together in a man cave talking, whatever it is, I don't think I talk that much because what I want to do, what I've always felt like was if I talk too much, I'm probably listening not enough. So my goal is to hear and listen because I want to, like I said earlier on in the show, I want information. I want to understand. I want enough data to make decisions off of. So I have to listen to get that. I can't talk and get that. If I'm talking, I'm learning nothing. If I'm listening, I'm learning so much about myself and the person that's talking to me. So I ain't going to annoy them by not talking. That's probably never going to happen. So that's easy for me.
You have 2 of these and 1 of these. So the idea is understand before you're understood. So that's what I do. Ask questions and sit back. If they have no interest in you, then why should you talk about yourself? They're not interested in you. So just keep asking them questions. It happened to me on a flight from LA to New York. The guy sitting next to me in a plane, 5 hours, I was asking him questions. Never once did he ever ask about my name or who I was or what my background was. I found out he was a rock star. He's got a contract. I know all, and this is like 25 years ago. I still remember the conversation. So they have done studies where they take the guy off the plane. They say, the guy next to you, who was that guy? Oh, he was the most amazing person I've ever met. Do you know his name? No. Do you know anything about? No. But they will think you're fantastic. So that's the thing. Ask questions. Show you have an interest. Because Mary Kay Cosmetics said you'll walk around with a sign that says, make me feel important. So how do you deal with relationships? Make them feel important. Ask them questions. Don't put them in a box and relate to the box. Keep asking questions every day. How would you handle this? What would this situation be? Teach me about you. What's your experiences? And then they go, wow, you have an interest in me? Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You're the best listener. That's what they say. You're the best listener.
I know you're the best, and you didn't even say anything. You're the best listener because you're there and you're present. And some of this, I think, just comes with some age and maturity. Is it that we just learn, hey, this doesn't work for me when I talk all the time, or some people never get out of it, or is it that we kind of decide, you know what, that person across from me is more important than what I have to say right now. I'll get my chance. I'll get my turn if I'm really truly seeking out relationships. And Gina or Paul, I know you guys are on here. If you guys want to add to this, please do. But yeah, sometimes to me now, I seek to listen, especially since I've been doing the podcast that I do. I truly want to seek to find out more. And so, thank you, Gina. Go ahead if you want to add something real quick before.
What's up, Gina?
I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm
I
learning.
love it.
I'm
I
learning to
love it.
listen. No, it's really good to be here. It's good to see you, Mr. Yu, and nice to meet you, Tommy. And yeah, I am. I'm just listening and praying and thinking at the same time about relation. When the relationships, because that's a big word for me. Relationship is a big, it's like a big word, and what keeps coming to me is that for me, I'm learning that I have to I have to have a relationship with Gina, with myself, so that I could really relate to others, and to know, just because before here I was on this other meeting and the topic was about self-love, and we were just talking about, having self-love for ourselves, self-acceptance before we could really, put out ourselves to others, before we could love others, before we could accept others. And so and now with relationship, I'm kind of putting that with the self-love and the and loving others, because that's what a relationship is. Doesn't, it could be anyone, but first it's just like that one-to-one relationship with Gina, and then in that I can grow, I can listen. I got to listen to myself first, because sometimes my mind, for me, and I think that's what comes in with meditation. When we meditate, we calm our minds, we calm our sets, and just hear what God has to say, and then go from there. So that's kind of my I'm meditating, thinking, and listening right now. So, but thank you guys very much.
Absolutely. Now, didn't you come from a profession that you're required to listen?
Yeah, I came to many bartending, of course, listening. Counseling, of course, listening, and I do. I can remember, because I too used to live in New York, and I can remember listening to the people on the subway. Like, really? Now, there's one thing about listening, and then the second thing is about being gullible, right? It's like, oh, I can help you, and meanwhile they're like, oh, no. And I'm going back in the 80s. I'm like, okay, don't talk to anyone, I can't talk to everybody.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd love to ask you guys, so, becoming the person universe, the community that we're putting together, that we're working on, one of the big things that I want to do inside of it, not only to create groups and have places where people can network, because I think it's like this lost art, but I want people to do, coffee appointments or virtual coffee and talk to people. And, but I don't want it to be where I come to try to sell you a product, or I try to come to sell you what I'm on. What are some things that you guys do when you're starting conversations, or when you're talking to folks, that bring out the best in them of what you're trying to get, instead of them just trying to tell you what it is that they have to offer? Because I don't know, do we always have to be able to offer something, or sometimes can we just be there to listen? What do you guys do to cultivate those relationships if you only have a short amount of time?
I'll start if you guys don't mind. I don't want to cut anybody off here. For me, my virtual coffees have been very, very different than the ones that you hear about in networking spaces. There's been times where I've had one and we're about to end, and I haven't said anything by myself at all. And I'm like, you know what? That's a good thing, because the person I'm speaking to, no offense, they're so absorbed in themselves. There's nothing I can do. Me interjecting not gonna help me. I need to learn as much as I can about the person, so I know for a future who they are, what kind of person they are. So for me, I don't really ever have an offer, for the most part. I'm really trying to find out how I can help, because I really believe that we're all here and to build on the power of unity. The BP universe is all about that, and I want to know, how can I do that? How can I help with that? Is it something I can say? Is somebody I can speak to on your behalf? Is there a connection I can make for you? What can I do to help you get to the place where you accomplish your goal? There's a gentleman who I quote so much on my show, he might as well be a co-host. He's long gone on to be with the Lord, but Zig Ziglar. I quote his quotes so much. If you have enough people in life get what they want in life, you have what you want in life. And I live by that thing. And people don't believe me. I'm like, because the world is just kind of corrupted in the way we think sometimes. But that's really what I do. So when I'm on a virtual coffee, I have no plan to give you a pitch. I have no plan to tell you about my coaching practice. I have no plan to tell you about the podcast and what we talk about on the show. I don't even think about it. I want to get as much as I can get out of this person about what they do in this 30, 45-minute period. And hopefully find one way where, you know what? I know somebody who you might want to meet. That's all I'm hoping for out of a virtual coffee. If I can say the word at the end of it, that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
And for me, I have written an owner's manual, and I encourage you to all do it too. And my most important thing is communication, which means to bring things in common, to share, and that means family. So family and communication all go together. So I figured out there's 4 different kinds of communication in the sense of when 2 or more people. One is a conversation, and I came up with a new word, conprosation. So either poetically, and it has rules and violations, and I relate them to a sport. So I think of the sport of tennis. So a conversation, which I'm not doing right now, I'm doing a lecture. So that's a primary, I'll show you that, but that's their second. But a conversation that should normally go is you hit it in their court and they respond to what you said. Then they can add something of a question, or they can talk about what they want to, and it comes back into your court. So you bounce it back and forth, and you limit yourself to 3 or 4 verses, because once it goes more than that, it turns into a lecture, a rant, a sermon. You should do this, or a story once upon a time. So when people get into storytelling, just sit back, and you're not going to have a conversation anymore. Then you can have a dialogue, which is completely different. A dialogue is like chess. You have 2 people, but you're thinking through 5 moves. So what you want to do is talk to the person and say, let's have a dialogue, which means, because you got to define as you go. What I want is for you to think about my position and tell me where I'm weak on. Tell me what will make my stronger argument. And I will do the same thing for you. So if we're going to have a dialogue, kind of like what we're doing here, we're trying to make something better, all of us contributing. Then you have a discussion, which is more like rugby. And it's rugby has all kinds of people. You don't have them all the same weight and height. You have a little guy who's really fast. You have a big, huge guy, and everybody in between. So everybody can participate in a rugby game. And it's not brutal in that sense. It's just a so you need to have everybody contribute everything all at once and be crazy. Doesn't matter. Don't filter. And that's a discussion. And the last one's a debate. And there's 2 kinds of debate. One's fencing, so you can do it with finesse, or MMA. And it's brutal. So right about that, I have 4 different ways, and then the personal ones. If you get off like a lecture, like I'm doing, I'll stop.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I love that, because we're thinking through the process instead of just showing up. Gina, do you have anything to add to that you wanted to, or?
No, because I'm not that experienced. I mean, I'm on the other side where, as you know, I've been doing a guest on podcasts. So they'll ask me questions. And of course I could talk, and share, but I also like that dialogue too. But I've also found I'm the kind of person, this is outside the realm, whatever this is, but if I'm, and I notice that about myself, if I'm, say, in a doctor's office or somewhere, I always, and whoever's helping me, so quiet, but I would always, even the cash register, oh, how long have you been working here? And then, oh, and then where are you from? And then next minute they tell me the whole life story, like as we're waiting for the doctor. And like that it's because it's just kind of, it's not that I'm being nosy. It's just that I'm just being kind. And, you're like, oh yeah, and thank you for your service. Oh my God, you've been doing this for so long. Do you have any kids of yourself, or whatever, like that. So that's how I try to, I could engage with anyone. I could go to a place and not want to be there, but I could talk, not talk, but I could bring up a conversation, and then that's it. Let them go. I have no problem doing that. And not that I like doing it. I have no problem. Like if I have to go to a place with 50 people in the room, I may not want to go, but I'll go in and I could just talk and, whatever, shoot the breeze. And then all of a sudden there's some way that it becomes not deep, but just like, oh, learned all about that. And then if I see them again, I'd be like, oh, how is your younger kid? Is he, whatever? Is he feeling better from the last time? Oh, you remember that? Yeah, I remember that. and it makes them feel good.
You're a nut.
It truly does.
You're a nut.
Yeah.
I want to ask this question and have each of you guys answer it, because maybe we can find some commonality into what's going on. But I find in 2025 people are extremely lonely. And if I were to say people are lonely because, how would you answer that? And what's one thing they could do that would help them? So people are lonely because what's one thing they can do?
Tommy's doing sign language again. Go ahead, Tommy.
All right, go ahead, Tommy.
I was giving you the chance to talk first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're square above him.
I don't know that one.
In our chat. I love it.
Because I was lonely in America. As a man, I tried to date and stuff like that, and that just didn't work out. So I came here to the Philippines, and I find them to be very friendly people. And I've asked them for 10 months that I've been here, why are you so friendly? Or why are you so happy? And they always come back with one word, family. And that's what I didn't have. My children don't talk to me. They haven't talked to me in 15 years. I didn't do anything. It's just the culture. The wife divorced me after 20 years of marriage, said, get out, take the dog with you, which is fine. And my parents are all passed away. My brothers passed away. I have no family. I was an only child of an only child, basically. So, I have two older brothers. I was 9 years older. And so it's the loneliness but here in the Philippines, I now have family. I hate when people said, why'd you come here? I will say, Naga Pangita Sang Asawa. So I've learned the language. I've learned Hiligaynon in 30 days. I've written a book. So I'm trying to promote that and have the expats here learn the language. It's really simple. It's not difficult at all. And so that's where the loneliness comes. You got to connect. It's back to reconnecting. So if you're lonely, and I'm suggesting anybody come here to the Philippines, because come where you are welcomed. And that's what I say.
All right.
Yeah, this answer might get me barred from the Fireside Chats going forward.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh man, I've been walking through this with some folks in regards to isolation and depression, and what I shared is always an eye opener. They always kind of look back, they kind of rinse back. But a lot of that is rooted in selfishness. A lot of it is rooted in, you know what? I don't want to go into these public spaces and connect because I don't want to talk to people because I don't want to give of myself in this area because and everything points back to you. The people who are in the worst emotional state are the ones who are probably not generous at all. Anybody that's a giver, they have problems like everybody else, but they're not standing on a bridge getting ready to jump off. They don't have self-esteem issues. They probably don't even have night terrors. They probably don't have anything. They don't have nothing like that going on in their life. They don't have depression, nothing like that, because they're so focused on the next person, the interests of others, giving to others. And I feel like there's a connection to selfishness and that kind of isolation mentality. So if somebody's lonely, it might indicate that they're unwilling to either give what was given to them in order to give it out, and they're holding things that they're supposed to be holding. We're supposed to be lights of the world and beacons of hope for people. How can you stay in this dark room with the shades drawn and think that you're doing the right thing by withholding something that's precious and not giving it out to people? I don't care if it's a book or a podcast. I don't care if it's you going to the store like Gina and just being a light in her community. That's a responsibility and an obligation. You can't decide. I mean, you can, but you can't. You can, but you can't. You can't decide. I'm not going to do that anymore. Really? The only reason why you had that, not to get you preaching, the only reason why you had that is because someone gave you the breath to have it. Yeah. So they take their breath back. Guess what you got? You got nothing. And you ain't going nowhere else. This is the end of the line. You know what I'm saying? This is a privilege that we have to do this. So if somebody's lonely and they just, and they feel as though they don't have any value in the world, set up a conversation. It could be that too. They may feel like, you know what? I don't have anything. My mother told me all my life that I was dumb, so I don't even know who I am. So why somebody want to talk to me and spend time with me and be my friend? So that piece is important too. But long answer. I apologize. Hope it made sense though.
No, it did. It did. Absolutely. Because we concentrate so much on us, then we isolate ourselves because nobody can fit that expectation that we put on them because we're expecting them to make us happy. And if that's how you're going at it is I want you in my life so you can make me happy instead of I want to make you happy, and in return maybe I can be happy. Gina, go ahead and talk to us about your thoughts.
real quick, because no, I think that's right on. I think both of you had great answers to family welcoming. You welcome them, and at the same time, it is a selfish act if somebody is in that state of loneliness and it could get worse and worse. And I know people. I mean, I should say there is a friend of mine that now and then she says I'm lonely. And it's like, what am I supposed to say? I can't. I just say, well, no, God's with you. You're not lonely. That's it. I mean, and then they're like, well, I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have this. And I said, well, pray. I said, you got so many. Look at all the people that love you. Like this. Go across the street. Go down to the club. Go to these different places that I know. Take yourself out, because another key thing is out of ourself. Is when we help others, even though we want to stay home or be in this poor me or look at me or lonely now, like I'm lonely. I don't have anything. No, just walk outside and help somebody else. Open up a door, give a smile. I don't want to give a smile, no, but I'll give a smile. It doesn't matter. You feel, it doesn't matter how you feel. I think it's the action, and then in that action, even though you don't like it, I believe God, in His mysterious way, graces you. Fills you, and you're like, wow, I'm not lonely. I could be, like bring you a peace or something like that. I mean, but sometimes, and if they still want to be lonely, okay, you tried. Okay, God, I tried. I keep saying, just go. I mean, there's nothing more I could say. If you win the lottery, you'll still be lonely because you don't have that inside you. Like that. It doesn't matter. So,
does comparison? Because a lot of things I'm seeing with especially a lot of the young folks, is they get online and then they scroll through this endless scrolling thing, and they see the best of everybody else's life. Because people aren't just posting all the, some people post bad stuff, but most people post when something good has happened. Then they compare with their lives to other lives, and then they've decided, even they might have full and great relationships, that they're lonely because their life doesn't look like what they're seeing online. Do you guys find that as you're talking to people, and this thing called social media that is, kind of taken over these intimate relationships, because we're having these relationships, but they're with sometimes people we don't even know?
Well, I'll step up then if you're
all
not.
Right.
Yeah, the social media has a whole new thing. It's writing and typing, and you're not emotionally involved anymore, and you can be very mean and cruel. And so, and what we're dealing with is a business, and they want their algorithm. So it's on purpose that TikTok gets these girls going, and the suicide rates are going up. I cannot say it's something positive. And that's one of my viewpoints, is we live in an artificial world, and artificial means man-made. So that's why my interest is to go to Argentina to buy a farm and to bring the drug addicts that I had met there in Maine to come there, non-violent, but I will get them there and raise them up to be men, because they don't know how to be a man. They're going to build their own house. They're going to dig a well. They're going to grow their own food. And they're going to actually have the foundation of being a man, change their name, because their drug addict name, that's that person. He died. Have a new name, a new life, a new wife, and they can actually have citizenship in Argentina with my influence. I have $7,000, and they'd start a business. In 2 years, they give them the passport. They really want people to come there to Argentina. So that's, again, giving to the community, making yourself important, making them feel important, and they will be making you feel important, because what you're doing is changing people's lives, and that's what we're all here for.
Thank you. Well, before you go, Tommy, you do know that the Philippines is a long way from Argentina, right?
Well, I was going to Argentina first, but then when a friend told me about the Filipinas and how they treat you, so I came here. I did find an asawa, so I'm engaged, and so she wants to travel. So she's young, she's full of energy. We have a family of nurses and people with restaurant experience, so we're going to be doing free food and free housing and the free clinic. So this is all perfect. So yeah, it all tied together. So we're going to Argentina next, and then back to America, and then back to the Philippines. The Philippines, 4 months is for Christmas. They start Christmas in September, and there is Christmas music in all the stores. It's amazing. Wow. Christmas decorations everywhere. So they spend 4 months of Christmas, and that's a great time. So come to the Philippines for the 4 months of September to December.
Wow.
So back to comparison. What do you guys, Gina, what are your thoughts on the comparison thing?
Mr.
You could go first.
Okay. I mean, it's rough. It's almost, I don't know. It's almost like what we grew up on, but kind of on steroids now. I mean, if you remember the old commercials, the Avon and the Maybelline. Remember those commercials? Those like Jordache jeans and Sassoon. That was messing people's heads up back in the 70s. In the 80s. It's like this is just a way to basically skyrocket at a faster rate of speed, is all this social media really is. So imagine what people are getting constantly by scrolling and staying in screen mode. Comparison, I don't know how you could avoid it. I mean, I have to fight it off. Like, I mean, if somebody is a minister or a podcast, I have to fight that stuff back too. I got to beat it back with a stick like anybody else. And I don't think I'm a weak-minded person, but I still have to do some grunge work to keep that residue off of me, because it's like, man, this person's been podcasting less time than me, and look what I'm over here grinding with 4 shows, and I'm working hard, and I don't have a sponsor. You know, I mean, so I have to fight that stuff back. Wait a minute. Remember why I'm doing it and what this is about? So comparison is huge, man, especially for a young, impressionable person who's left to their own devices because maybe their parents are working or their parents are just not present. So you can only imagine what they're going through. Yeah, comparison is probably huge for that, without question.
Yeah. I do have to, I'm fairly new in the social media. And as you know, that I had written my book. So here I'm just trying to promote. And I don't understand where I see other people that get like zillions of followers or zillions. I'm like, how do you do this over this? You know what I mean? And then, so I just I take everything with a grain of salt at the same time. And I try not to compare. I'm like, this is it. And I always refer back to God. God, you know who's going to look at, you know who's going to need it. You show me exactly that. And then when I look at these other, you know, because they have all these blinks to it, you know, like really like zappy stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you do that? And then I wonder if is it all AI? Is it real? Is it true? You know, what they're doing with this, is that a real person now? You know, like I had, you know, there's a point that I don't trust. I don't know the rope. I don't know. My rope is cut with some of them because, and then I guess with the algorithms, because I am getting, you know, certain things that I do like, and I'm getting all these, and I'm like, is this all for real? Is this, you know, like, so I try not to put all my heart, mind, and set into it or anything like that, and it could really destroy the media. It could really destroy if you know, if I'm in a dark place, or even if I'm in a lonely place. Some of the stuff is very ugly and negative, and you know, that's scary too. You know, when someone is lonely and seeking for something, and they may come across someone or something, and it just is, you know, will take them further in the wrong alley. So as you can tell, I don't trust media that much, you know, in that kind of sense. I don't put Yeah, I try to be more careful and more prudent. People could follow me. I won't follow you if I don't know you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. And then even on TikTok, like I've done TikTok, I stopped TikTok, but I get these messages from these guys saying, "Oh, you're beautiful." I'm like, I don't need that. You know what I mean? Like private messaging. Oh, can we be friends? And I'm like, no, that's, I don't even say no. I don't even do nothing, but I'm more, maybe 30 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, let's be friends. That's the kind of person I was. But today no, that's fine. That's okay.
That brings me, we're just about at our hour, but I'd love to hear from each of you. What is a friend? What is a friend? Because we keep talking about, I have this many friends or this many, you just brought it up, you're not going to be my friend. I don't know you. What truly constitutes a friend?
Well, last thing I'll say, I've learned that you only have 5 true friends in your life. That's it.
In
So
your
that's
whole
it.
life?
Yep, 5 friends. Everyone
Wow.
else is acquaintances or friends, but there's 5 good friends that you can count. I've
And
learned that.
is
I've
that
heard
like
that.
5 cumulative over life or 5 at a time?
5 in your whole life.
Wow.
That there's only 5 good. That's what I've heard years ago. Years ago. I mean, you guys are my friends. You're like after the 5, but still, you know what I'm saying? Like you find like 5 good friends that love you, be there, thick and thin. You know that they're. I mean, there are friends that I don't talk to, but I know if I have a problem or something, they're there. Like I haven't seen them in a year. No, they're there. So I mean, that's my intake about friends.
Wow. Well, Gina, but my Facebook says that I have 7,000 friends.
God bless you. God, they're all gonna want for something.
Yeah. I
Oh
don't think
my
I'm
God.
smart enough to have my own definition of what a friend is, but I'll just say I use something that somebody else already used before.
Okay.
That this person's going to love you enough to not leave you where you are.
Whether they're giving you correction or whether they're just giving you, a pick me up, or they're giving you the things, but
Mhm.
they are not going to leave you where you are. I love that. Tommy,
And
what
that
about you?
and that
Oh,
oh,
go
go ahead.
ahead, Gina. No, you're good.
I was gonna
And then
say not many people would do that. So that's why
Yeah.
you're gonna have 5. You're
Yeah.
gonna find 5 good friends that would do both things. Some
Yeah.
friends don't want to hurt, someone, whatever. But anyhow, enough of me.
True.
and I cover that in my owner's manual about a friend and what is a
Mm.
friend. And it's like an acquaintance. So if you meet somebody for the first time, you never see them ever again. Well, that's just a stranger. But then a stranger could be more involved with you irregularly, would be like an acquaintance. But then we have more familiarity, like with somebody, with a colleague or a neighbor or something like that. Then it can turn into be a friend. So we can be friendly, but then what do you define as a friend? And that friend then can lead into a lover, and then that would be in with a family, and that's for your lifetime, and then you're eternally with God. So back to a friend. I define that more in the older way of doing it, not that TV show called Friends, which they encourage and support all your bad behavior because that's what they want. That's what the advertisers want you to be. It's impulsive and not think about anything and not think about the consequences. But that friend is, like you're saying, it's going to keep you back in line, and you have responsibility keeping them in line too. So it's both ways of keeping you on track. So that's what I agree. You think about it, I've only really had 5 friends my entire life too that I can really call a deep friend.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So good. So good. I'll give you a chance to give any last thoughts today. Thank you guys for being on our second fireside chat, which is so fun to me. And the Becoming the Person universe is going to always be about relationship, about how do we cultivate better relationships? How do we find people that are in the same spot as I am? And so if you go to that becomingtheperson.com, you can check it out, be part of it. This weekend, I'm doing a AI relationship versus AI summit workshop. So at the end of the workshop, people will be able to not only have an ebook that they have ready to go, but they'll understand where AI fits in with this thing that we're calling relationships. So I encourage anybody
Neat.
who wants to go to that. And we're going to continue to have so much good programming on Becoming the Person universe, and I can't wait to do it. Have all you guys as guests and keep coming back and have these conversations that we don't get to have all the time. And so thank you guys for absolutely, Yusef, thank you for being willing to jump on as quick as we can But I'd love to have ending thoughts from you guys about some of the subject matter that we talked about, or anything else that you want to make sure everybody knows.
Hey man, I just wanted to say thank you for opening this door up. There's a lot of things about unity and community that I feel like we hear a lot of counterfeits in our world about it, and this is just one of those. It just feels like it's really about connecting and communication, and it's really seemed to be authentic. So I'm really excited about this. I think people when they realize that, you know what, this is the real deal, this community is gonna blossom. So thank you for opening the door to do this and for allowing me to be a part of it, man. I really appreciate you for that.
Absolutely, thank you.
And I thank you too. It is. I ditto. It is. It's a very positive, uplifting group community here that's much needed in this world today. Maybe not in the Philippines, but in America today. So.
And all I say is an attitude of gratitude. It's just wanted to be
Amen.
with all of you. So we're coming from the right spot. You're coming with the right intent. So let's do it next week.
All right. Well, you guys have an amazing, awesome day. For those of you who are out there, don't forget you are God's greatest gift. He loves you if you allow him to. And we can't wait to see you on the next one. Come visit us in the community. Can't wait for you to be part of it and to help you grow into what God would have you be, and that you get to be in purpose. And when you get to live in purpose, there's nothing better than doing it. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Have an amazing, awesome day.